one thing in my book I said, one thing I kept reading from industry insiders, and it bothers me every time, is there are 3 things to success, and that's be kind, be humble, and help other people succeed. If you do those 3 things, you're going to succeed in our business. And I just think that's such bullshit. Because I'm like, if those are the 3 things, that's what you use to get into the business, then your journey wasn't very difficult. I go, because my experience has taught me that when I've been kind, I get taken advantage of.
True.
When I'm humble, people don't take me seriously as a filmmaker. Yeah. And when I try to help other people, they end up just using you as a stepping stone.
Very true. Yeah.
I'm not saying those are 3 things you should be in life, but in this business, if you're starting from nothing, you're gonna have a very hard time in this business. But these are all people that are kind of had a foot in the door, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That say these things. And when you already have a foot in the door, well, those things will be valuable to you because maybe everyone's used to dealing with an asshole, but you're already somebody, And it's an agent blog that I follow, but I called him out on that. He didn't respond, but I was just kind of like, I go, your last name is a famous last name. You're the son of a famous agent. So you already have a door open to you. So being those 3 things, maybe that disarms people and they go, oh yeah, okay. But when you're successful already, absolutely that works because everyone goes, oh wow, they're so kind, they're so humble, and they're helping other people. But you're already successful. It's easy, you're not gonna lose anything by being that. And especially if most people are used to assholes in those positions. But yeah, I'm going off
yeah, that's
track,
fine, but I do agree with you. I think in life, those are good rules.
Great rules.
I think in this business, if you're gonna help somebody, you do it because you want to do it. But yeah, there's not, I don't know.
Yeah. That could be a whole nother workshop.
And I think that people that would disagree and say that's being too negative, I think a lot of them probably haven't been through a lot.
They're naive in a negative way in terms of the business.
Right. If you want to do the right thing and you want to keep your word, I think that's great. What about in search of fairness in this business and thinking that everyone's going to play it that way?
Well, I would say this, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're a writer, an actor, director, there is the discipline and the craft of doing those things and learning those things and constantly learning. But it's also looking and learning and paying attention to this as a business. Not in the sense that it will get you jaded, but to give you don't go in naive. It is a business. That's number one. I've gotten into major discussions with distributors over my posters because they weren't artistic enough and I wanted an artistic poster, but they just want to put Danny Trejo on the cover because that's what's going to sell. And that's what they do, right? So I have to kind of let them do what they do. They let me do what I do, which was make the movie. But there's no fairness in this business. There isn't. And if you understand that going in, then you can, I think, deal with it a lot better. But if you go in thinking something's going to make sense, or your journey is going to make sense, or it's going to be fair, or the outcome's going to be fair, you're going to have a very difficult time because there's nothing fair. I know actors that have come out here and have been at it for 40 years and have never been a series regular. I have actors that have come out here, been out here 10 years and are series regulars. Is that fair? No, but that's just the nature of the business. It attracts a lot of different people from all over the world that all have something to say. And that can actually be an empowering thing because to me, there's no one way to get in. If you took a panel of 5 filmmakers, they would each, let's say 5 very successful filmmakers, each of them would have a different way of how they got in. I don't think there are two stories that are the same of how people succeed in this business. You just have to find what your story is and commit to your journey and try not to make it like anybody else, but go in there with the understanding of how the business works to the best of your ability. And unfortunately, a lot of that experience comes through failure. And so you have to look at it that. I always say, the more no's I get, it gets me closer to a yes. That's a pretty true statement. There are some emails I've sent out that were not worded right when I reached out to a showrunner and it got back to me. And I'm like, you know what? I probably could have worded that better. But that's a learning thing. I didn't look at it as a negative. I looked at it as, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have asked for that, or maybe I shouldn't have worded it that way, or maybe I shouldn't have reached out directly to that person. But I don't know that there's any short of just being a complete douchebag in this business, I don't know that there are any little mistakes that you're gonna make that are gonna be so detrimental to your career. I've made a ton. It hasn't kept me from producing, writing, and directing because it's so democratized now. You can shoot one on your phone and you can learn how to shoot one on your phone. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't know how, you can look it up. How do I make a movie? How do I make a short film? So you gotta be constantly reading and researching, and you gotta love it, even the warts, you know? Because if you don't, it'll just eat you. It'll eat you. I've seen it happen to people, and it's not to good people because they were so eaten alive at the fact that it's not fair. This isn't fair. I did all this work and I sacrificed so much. This isn't fair. Why did their movie get here and mine didn't?
So if someone's in that loop, it's late at night, it's early morning, they're waking up, they're like, you know what, this isn't fair, but if I stop, I don't get to do X, Y, or Z, and I may not get a laurel, and I may not get this publication to pick me as their new top 25 for the year,
Right.
but
yeah, it's funny you read it because I'm not that guy. I've never been that guy that got in a top 25 list. I'm not the guy that's, you know, the film festival guy, but I am the guy that's written and directed several feature films. That's the guy I want to be, you know. So those are goals and interesting goals. But if you have a short film and you're going all over the world, like, you know, a friend of mine is a filmmaker who went to film school, had an award-winning short, decided he wanted to go to AFI because he thought he would make more connections that way. I go, you already know how to make a movie. Why are you going to go and spend $100,000 to go to AFI? Well, I'll make connections that way. And I'm like, that's no guarantee, man. Yeah, you'll meet some people, but don't you think everybody's going for that reason? And I go, just make something. You know, I go, how much money did you spend going all over the world with your film? He said, well, we won a ton of awards. I go, yeah, but didn't get you the next project. I go, I would have taken all that money and made something with it. You know, so it depends what your priority is. I think if you're ego-driven, you know, maybe that's what drives you. I don't know. I'm just not that person. I'm driven by storytelling, pure and simple. I'm not a multi-hyphenate either. I say writer-director so people have some type of perspective in terms of what I do, but essentially I just see myself as a storyteller. And I'm using tools that I have at my disposal to tell the stories that I want to tell. And that's what drives me. None of the other stuff does. All the other stuff would be great. You know, my very simple goal is just to make a living as a writer-director. That doesn't necessarily mean going to Sundance. It doesn't necessarily mean being rich and successful. It just means making a living as a writer-director. That's an attainable goal. Everything else, if that happens, that's all gravy, but an attainable goal for me is that. You know, at your first time out, you're expecting, you know, look around, pay attention. I'm looking at, you know, the hardest thing with Marigold and Matador was I was making an undistributable film, and I knew it. It wasn't my first film, it was my 7th, and I knew it was undistributable. And having to keep going because the itch would not go away on telling this story was very difficult. Whereas if I had the naivety of a first-time filmmaker, would have plowed right through that, right? Because I'm making my first film, but I'm making my 7th, and I'm broke, and I'm going, why am I doing this? It's just something I have to do.
Why was it undistributable?
For many reasons. I mean, just going from off my experience, it's, you know, it's about a single woman. There's a homeless character in it who's schizophrenic, and it's like a coming of age story of this young girl. It's an all Latin cast. Takes place in LA, in what I call the real LA. No stars are in it. Camila Banus is in it. She's an amazing actress. She's on Days of Our Lives, but she's so good. She was so gracious to be a part of that project. That was my 2nd time working with her. I just didn't, knowing the experience I had and what distributors say, I just didn't feel like it was going to find a buyer. At least not right now. Maybe later down the line, they will be. You know, we'll see. When Cuarón's movie came out, Roma, I thought, it's very much shot in that vein, not to that, you know, that brilliance, obviously, but there was a great movie about a story about a woman that wasn't a star and everything else, and did pretty well, I think. So who knows? But again, I don't have the machine behind me, so I just have to sit and wait on that one.